The room was dark. Cold metal walls reflected the faint glow of blinking lights. She crouched in the corner, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. Every sound seemed louder here, the drip of water, the faint hum of machinery, even her own breathing. She had braced herself for death at human hands, but so far, all she had felt was fear. Her name was Lyra. She was not fully human. Her kind had always been hunted by humans, treated as a threat. She had heard stories of those who tried to escape but never returned, stories of screams and cold steel, and now she was trapped. She could hear footsteps coming closer, slow, steady, deliberate. Her body shook. Lyra's eyes scanned the room, looking for anything that could help her escape. The lab was full of strange machines, cages, and glowing tubes. Wires hung from the ceiling like vines, and the smell of metal and chemicals made her stomach churn. She pressed herself tighter against the wall. She was small, but she had to be smart. She had to survive. A shadow passed the doorway. Lyra held her breath. It moved slowly, almost gently, but there was something unnatural about it. She thought it might be one of the humans sent to capture her, to hurt her. She closed her eyes, bracing for the moment she thought would be her last. And then, a hand reached toward her. Her eyes snapped open. It was a human hand, but it did not hold a weapon. It was soft, open, and careful. Lyra froze. She had expected pain, but instead, she felt a gentle touch on her shoulder. Her mind raced. Could this be a trap? Was it a trick to make her lower her guard? The human's voice was quiet, almost whispering. "Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you." Lyra's legs trembled. Her first instinct was to flee, but there was nowhere to run. The shadow of another figure loomed behind this one. She realized she had been surrounded. Her mind screamed at her to act, to fight, to do anything, but she stayed frozen, unsure what to do. The human crouched down to her level. Their eyes met, and for a moment, Lyra saw something she had never expected in a human. Compassion. Not all humans were monsters. Could she trust this one? The thought felt dangerous, almost foolish. She had been running from humans her whole life, and yet there was something in this moment that made her hesitate. A faint sound echoed in the room, a metallic clang, a door opening in the distance. Someone else was coming. Lyra's stomach twisted with fear. Was this gentle human going to protect her, or was this the moment when her fate would finally catch up with her? She glanced at the hand on her shoulder. It remained there, warm and steady. The human's other hand reached toward a small control panel on the wall. Lights flashed, and a soft hum filled the air. Lyra had no idea what the human was doing, but it seemed important. Whatever it was giving her a choice, to trust or to run. Lyra's mind raced with possibilities. If she ran, she might escape the lab, but she would still be hunted. If she stayed, she could be risking her life in ways she could not predict. The room seemed to close in on her, walls moving closer, shadows reaching for her. Every nerve in her body screamed at her to make a decision. Then the human spoke again, whispering words she barely understood. "I am not your enemy. Follow me, and you may survive." Survival. The word hung in the air like a fragile promise. Lyra's muscles tensed. Could she really trust this human? Her instinct screamed no, but a small spark of hope flickered inside her chest. For the first time in a long time, she wondered if not all humans were cruel. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared. Red lights flashed, casting the room in an urgent, angry glow. Footsteps ran closer, faster now. Lyra's heart jumped. Time was running out. The gentle human grabbed her hand, not tightly, but firmly enough to guide her. "This way," they said. Lyra had no choice. She allowed herself to be led, her feet moving almost automatically. Her mind was a storm of fear, doubt, and curiosity. She peeked over her shoulder, but the shadows were already filling the room. Whoever had been coming was now very close. They reached a narrow corridor, dimly lit, the walls lined with strange panels and pipes. The human stopped and pressed a button on the wall. A hidden door slid open silently. Lyra blinked. She had not expected this. A hidden passage? Was it a trap, or a real chance to escape? The human glanced at her and nodded. "Quickly, we don't have much time." Lyra swallowed hard. Every instinct told her to run, to fight, to hide. But something in the human's calm eyes made her pause. The fear was still there, but so was a strange new feeling, a fragile trust, like a seed planted in darkness. As they slipped into the passage, the lab behind them filled with shouting and chaos. Lyra's heart raced, but she kept moving. The world outside the lab was unknown, dangerous, and full of humans who might kill her. But for the first time, she felt that maybe, just maybe, not all humans were enemies. And in that dark, cold corridor, with danger close behind and uncertainty ahead, Lyra realized that survival might not just depend on her strength, but on a choice she had never imagined: to trust. The hidden passage smelled of damp metal and old oil. Lyra's footsteps echoed softly against the walls, and every sound made her flinch. Her hand still rested in the human's, warm and steady, guiding her through the darkness. She tried to focus, but her mind kept replaying the moment she felt that gentle touch, the first kindness she had known from a human in her life. "This way," the human whispered, voice calm but urgent. "Stay close. Don't make a sound." Lyra nodded, her throat dry. She wanted to ask questions, so many questions, but fear held her tongue. The shadow of the lab, the alarms, too. Men who might be hunting her. Everything pressed in. She had to survive first. Only later could she try to understand who this human really was. The passage turned sharply, leading them to a small room lit by a single flickering panel. The walls were lined with strange devices she had never seen before: glowing vials, wires tangled like vines, and a machine humming softly in the corner. Lyra's eyes widened. It looked like a lab, but different from the one she had escaped. Cleaner, quieter, somehow safer. The human released her hand and stepped aside. "Sit," they said. "You need rest, even for a moment." Lyra hesitated. Every instinct screamed that this was a trick, that sitting down was letting her guard down. But the human's eyes, calm and patient, held her gaze. She obeyed, lowering herself to the cold floor. Her legs felt like jelly, and she had to steady her breathing. "Why are you helping me?" she asked finally, voice barely a whisper. The human studied her for a moment, as if weighing the answer. "Because not all humans are cruel," they said. "Some of us want to do the right thing, even when the world is wrong." Lyra stared. She had never heard words like that from a human. She had been taught to fear them, to see them as hunters, killers, threats. And yet, here was one, offering help instead of harm. Could it really be true, or was it a trick, a moment of false hope before the trap closed? "Who are you?" she asked again, more insistently this time. The human smiled faintly, a small curve of lips that almost looked gentle in the dim light. "Name doesn't matter right now," they said. "What matters is that you survive. After that, we can talk." Lyra felt a flicker of doubt. Survive with them? Trust them? It was dangerous. And yet, for the first time, she realized she didn't want to run alone. Not into the darkness, not into the unknown. She had spent her whole life on the run, hiding, escaping, fearing humans. Maybe this human was different. A sudden noise made her jump. A door far away clicked open. Footsteps approached. Slow and deliberate, Lyra's heart jumped into her throat. The human moved quickly, pulling her behind a large console. Shadows danced across the room as the footsteps drew closer. "Stay quiet," the human whispered. "They might be looking for you, if they find you here." Lyra nodded, pressing herself flat against the metal wall. Her eyes met the human's, and she saw the determination there. They were not afraid. That was strange. Humans were supposed to be the hunters, but this one seemed ready to protect her. The footsteps stopped. A voice echoed faintly, angry and commanding. "Check this room. She can't be far." Lyra's stomach twisted. She clenched her fists, but she didn't move. The human's hand found hers again, light and steady, a quiet anchor in the storm of fear. Somehow, that simple touch made her feel braver, stronger. She focused on that touch, not the danger. After what felt like hours, but was only minutes, the footsteps faded. The door clicked shut, leaving the room in silence. Lyra exhaled slowly, her body trembling. "You're safe. For now," the human said. "But we can't stay here long. They will come back." Lyra looked around the room, eyes catching on a small window at the far wall. Outside, she could see the faint glow of the city, alive but dangerous. She had never been this close to it, never without hiding. The human motioned to the window. "There's a way out," they said quietly. "A route they don't know about, but it's risky. You must trust me." Lyra hesitated. Trust had always been a luxury she could not afford. But the warmth of the human's touch, the calm in their voice, the way they moved to protect her, something inside her stirred. She nodded silently. She would trust, for now. The human reached for a small panel on the wall, pressing buttons in a sequence Lyra did not understand. A hidden door slid open with a hiss, revealing a narrow passage leading upward. "Quickly," the human said. "Follow me, and don't look back." Lyra's heart raced as she followed. The air grew warmer, the hum of the machines fading behind them. Every step was tense, every shadow a potential threat, And yet the presence of the human beside her, guiding her hand, steadying her steps, gave her courage she hadn't known she had. As they climbed, Lyra realized something profound. Survival was no longer just about running, hiding, or fighting. It was about choosing to trust, even when the world had taught her not to. And in that moment, as danger lurked in every shadow, she understood that a single gentle touch could change everything. And perhaps, just perhaps, not all humans were enemies. The narrow passage opened into a larger room filled with soft white light. Lyra blinked, her eyes adjusting to the sudden brightness. She had expected danger at every turn, yet this place felt different, cleaner, calmer. But that calm made her uneasy. She had learned long ago that appearances could be deceiving. The human led her to a console in the corner, their hands moving swiftly across the buttons and screens. Lines of data appeared, glowing faintly. Lyra leaned against the wall, trying to catch her breath. "Why are you helping me?" she asked again, the question pressing on her mind. She had not trusted easily before. Why now? The human didn't answer immediately. Instead, they typed rapidly, eyes fixed on the glowing screens. Finally, they spoke, voice quiet but firm. "Because not all humans agree with what's happening to your kind. There are rules, orders, but not everyone follows them. I am one of those who won't." Lyra's brow furrowed. "Orders? Rules? What are you talking about?" The human took a deep breath, as if deciding how much to reveal. "Some humans see your people as dangerous. They think you must be controlled, contained, or eliminated. It's complicated. But there are humans who believe in doing what's right even when it's hard. I am one of them." Lyra felt a spark of hope, and a spark of fear. If there were humans who could be trusted, why had she never met them before? And if this human was against the others, did that make them a target too? Before she could ask, the human's eyes narrowed at the screen. "We don't have much time. They're moving faster than expected." Lyra glanced at the glowing panels, trying to understand. The data made no sense to her, coordinates, codes, blinking lights, but the urgency was clear. Someone was coming, and whatever they planned, it was serious. "Who are they?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Hunters," the human said simply. "Some humans are hunters of your kind. They follow orders blindly, but I refuse to follow. And now, helping you puts me in danger too." Lyra swallowed hard. She had survived countless threats before, but this was different. This human, this protector, was risking their life for her. That simple fact made her heart pound in a strange way. She had always thought of humans as enemies, yet here one stood as her ally. A sudden beep from the console made them both jump. The human's face went serious. "They are closer than I thought," they said. "We need a plan." Lyra felt her pulse quicken. What kind of plan? The human turned to her, eyes sharp but calm. "A way out, yes, but also a way to give them a choice. To show them that violence isn't the only path, but it's risky. If it fails, we may not survive." Lyra's stomach twisted. She had learned to survive by running, hiding, fighting, but now she was being asked to trust, to be part of a plan, to take a risk that was bigger than anything she had ever faced. Could she do it? The human paused, looking at her closely. "I need to know if you're willing to trust me completely. Can you?" Lyra hesitated. Every instinct in her body screamed no. Trusting humans had always led to danger, but then she remembered the gentle twos. Each in the lab, the calm in the human's voice, the way they had guided her through danger. Somehow, despite the fear, she nodded. "I'll trust you," she said quietly. The human's face softened. "Good. That's all I need. But understand, trust is just the first step. Survival comes next." A sudden noise made both of them freeze. Footsteps echoed from the hallway outside, faster this time. Someone was coming, and they were not friendly. The human moved to a panel on the wall, pressing buttons rapidly. Red lights flashed, and a hidden door slid open, revealing a narrow corridor leading downward. "Follow me," the human whispered. "We can't be seen. Not now." Lyra followed, her heart racing. The corridor was tight, forcing them to move single file. Every sound seemed amplified, the click of their boots on metal, the hum of machinery, the distant shouting. Her mind was a storm of fear and curiosity. Who were the humans hunting her? Why were some humans protecting her? The answers seemed just out of reach. As they moved deeper into the corridor, the human glanced back. "I need to tell you something," they said. "There's more at stake than just your life. If we succeed, we can change how humans see your kind. But if we fail..." Lyra's stomach clenched. "Then what?" The human's eyes were dark but determined. "Then we fight. And even in failure, you must survive. That is the only way to make our actions meaningful." Lyra nodded slowly. She realized something important. This was bigger than just running, hiding, or escaping. This was about choices, morality, and hope. The human had shown her that not all humans were the same, and now they were asking her to take a leap of faith into danger, uncertainty, and the unknown. They reached a small platform with a hatch leading to the surface. The human paused, hand on the handle. After this, there's no turning back. Are you ready? Lyra swallowed, heart pounding. She remembered the lab, the gentle touch, the fear, and the hope. For the first time in her life, she felt a strange mixture of courage and trust. I'm ready, she said, voice steady. The human nodded, pulling open the hatch. A sliver of light from the outside world poured in. Beyond it lay freedom, danger, and uncertainty, but also a chance to survive, to change her fate, and to see what humans could truly be. And with that, Lyra stepped forward, hand in hand with the human, into the unknown. The hatch creaked open, and a rush of cold night air brushed against Lyra's face. The city lights stretched below like a river of stars, glittering and alive. For a brief moment, she forgot fear. She had survived the lab, the traps, the hunters, and now she stood at the edge of freedom. But the human beside her did not pause to admire the view. Their eyes scanned the dark streets below, calculating every step. We move quickly. Stay low, they will be searching for us, they whispered. Lyra nodded, her heart hammering in her chest. She followed, hand in hand, letting the human guide her down a narrow ladder that clanged softly under their weight. Every sound seemed louder in the still night. Below, the alleyways were dark and winding, full of shadows that could hide danger. The human led her through a series of twists and turns, keeping to shadows and avoiding the main streets. Lyra's mind raced. They had escaped the lab, yes, but the hunters would be out there, searching, and she knew from experience that humans were relentless once they decided something. Suddenly, the human stopped, pressing her back against a brick wall. Shh, they whispered. Lyra froze. Ahead, two figures emerged from the shadows, talking quietly but moving with sharp purpose. She could see the glint of weapons in the dim light. Lyra's stomach clenched. Her first instinct was to run, to escape into the maze of alleys, but the human squeezed her hand, firm and reassuring. Trust me, they said. We can get past them without a fight. Lyra swallowed hard, forcing herself to stay calm. The human reached into their coat, pulling out a small device that emitted a soft, high-pitched sound. The figures paused, covering their ears, confused. The human took a deep breath, guiding Lyra past them while they stumbled blindly, distracted by the device. Once they were clear, Lyra exhaled, feeling her legs tremble. How did you know that would work? She asked, amazed. The human smiled faintly. Preparation. Observation. Not all humans are hunters, but some are clever enough to survive when others fail. They continued through the streets, moving swiftly but silently. Lyra noticed the city was alive at night, lights blinking, vehicles moving, distant sounds of life, but danger lurked in every corner. She had to keep her wits sharp. Every shadow could hide a threat, every sound a warning. After a while, they reached a narrow bridge spanning a quiet river. The human paused, crouching behind a pillar. We need to cross carefully. Sensors patrol this area. If they detect movement, alarms will trigger. Lyra's pulse quickened. Sensors? She whispered, glancing at the metal pillars lining the bridge. Yes, the human replied. They are part of the city's security system. We can't touch the beams. Step carefully. Lyra followed the human's lead, placing her feet exactly where they instructed. The bridge seemed endless, the sensors glowing faintly in the dark. One wrong step, one miscalculation, and the alarms would sound. Her heart pounded in her ears, but the human's calm presence kept her steady. Halfway across, a sudden gust of wind swept over the bridge, rattling the metal railings. Lyra stumbled, catching herself on the human's arm. Careful, they whispered, steadying her. She realized in that moment how much she relied on them, not just for guidance, but for courage. They finally reached the other side. Lyra exhaled, relief washing over her, but the human's expression was tense. We're not safe yet. We need a secure place to hide until we figure out our next move. They ducked into a narrow alley where the human pressed a hidden button on the wall. A small door swung open, revealing a dimly lit room. Inside it was quiet, almost empty, but it offered a temporary refuge. Lyra sank to the floor, exhausted but alert. The human sat beside her, glancing at the street outside. We can rest for a moment, they said, but we must plan carefully. The hunters are organized. They won't give up easily. If we make one mistake... Lyra shivered, understanding the weight of their words. This escape was only the beginning. Survival required not just speed, but strategy, cunning, and trust. And now, she had to rely on someone she barely knew, a human who had shown her kindness when all she expected was cruelty. "I'm ready," she said softly. "Tell me what we need to do." The human nodded. "First we lay low, then we gather information, find their weaknesses. Only then can we make our move. And Lyra?" She looked at them. "Trust can be a weapon if used wisely. You have survived because you trusted me once. Now we must use that trust to survive again." Lyra swallowed, a mixture of fear and determination settling in her chest. She realized the truth. Escaping was not just about running from danger, it was about understanding it, outsmarting it, and being ready for what came next. Outside, the city continued its restless hum, unaware of the two fugitives weaving through its shadows. And inside that small hidden room, Lyra understood that survival was more than escaping. It was about planning, thinking ahead, and trusting when the world had taught her never to. The human glanced at her, hand resting lightly on her shoulder. "We start at dawn," they said. "Until then, rest. You'll need your strength for what comes next." Lyra nodded, closing her eyes for a brief moment. Danger was never far, and every step could lead to death. But for the first time, she felt a glimmer of hope. With a plan and someone to trust, survival was no longer just a dream. It was possible. And in that quiet, tense moment, Lyra realized something profound. Escaping was not just about leaving the hunters behind. It was about becoming stronger than they expected. The city was quiet, but the silence felt unnatural. Lyra and the human moved through empty streets, sticking to the shadows. Their steps were careful, measured, each movement designed to avoid attention. Every alleyway, every doorway could hide danger. She had learned that humans were unpredictable, and some were deadly. Yet tonight, there was something else, something she could not name, a feeling that they were being watched. "We need supplies," the human said softly. "Food, tools, anything that can help us move faster and stay hidden. There's a safe place not far from here, but we have to be careful." Lyra nodded, following closely. She felt tension in every muscle, every sense alert. Her mind was filled with questions about the hunters, about the mysterious humans who helped them, about the path ahead. But before she could voice them, a figure stepped out of the shadows. The stranger was tall, cloaked in dark fabric that hid most of their face. Only their eyes were visible, sharp and glowing faintly in the dim light. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. She instinctively stepped behind the human, her body tense. "You shouldn't be here," the human said, voice low but firm. "Who are you?" The stranger tilted their head slightly. "I could ask the same of you," they replied. Their voice was calm but carried a strange authority. "But I think we have a common interest." Lyra narrowed her eyes. Common interest? Could this person be a friend or another enemy in disguise? She had learned not to trust easily, not after all she had faced. The stranger took a step closer. "You're running from hunters, yeah. I can help, but it will cost you something." The human frowned. "And why should we trust you?" The stranger's eyes glimmered in the shadows. "Because I have my own reasons to oppose them, and because I know a secret they don't want you to know." Lyra's curiosity sparked, though fear still gripped her. Secrets could be dangerous, but she sensed that this person, this mysterious ally, might be the key to their survival. The human studied the stranger for a long moment. Finally, they nodded slightly. "Fine, but we proceed with caution. Any trickery, and we end it now." The stranger smiled faintly, a shadow of amusement in their eyes. "Understood." They led Lyra and the human to a narrow building hidden behind a crumbling wall. Inside, the air was warm, almost comforting, though dimly lit. Small devices and maps lined the walls, glowing softly with holographic projections. Lyra's eyes widened. This place was a hub. Someone was monitoring the city, the movements of hunters, and perhaps even the skies above. "You see," the stranger said, "the hunters are organized. They are not just human, they have allies, technology, and resources most would never imagine. But they have weaknesses, I can show you." Lyra leaned forward, intrigued, despite her caution. "Weaknesses?" she whispered. The stranger nodded. "Yes. Every plan, no matter how perfect, has cracks. They underestimate you. They underestimate humans like him," they said, glancing at Lyra's companion. "Together, you can exploit those cracks, but only if you act wisely." The human glanced at Lyra, eyes sharp but calm. "Do you trust them?" Lyra felt the weight of the question. Trust had been fragile in her life, broken more times than she could count. Yet, something about the stranger, their knowledge, their presence, felt necessary. Lyra nodded slowly. I will trust them, for now. The stranger smiled faintly, a mixture of approval and caution. Good. Time is short. They will regroup quickly after the lab escape. You must move before dawn, and there's one more thing you need to know. Lyra and the human leaned in, listening closely. The hunters. They have an inside ally, the stranger whispered. Someone who knows your every move. Someone close to you. Someone you may already know. If you are not careful, you could walk straight into their trap. Lyra's stomach turned. An inside ally? Someone close? Could it be someone in the lab, or someone she had trusted before? The thought made her skin crawl. The human's face hardened. We need a plan. If they have an insider, we must be unpredictable. We can't assume anything, and we need to find out who it is before they act. The stranger nodded. Exactly. That is why I am here. I can guide you, but I cannot fight for you. You must move carefully, strike decisively, and trust only what you see with your own eyes. Lyra felt a strange mix of fear and hope. The stranger's words were harsh, but they also offered a path forward, a way to survive, to fight back, to outsmart the hunters. For the first time, she felt she had allies, not just the human who had saved her, but someone else, someone who might help turn the tables. Rest now, the stranger said. We leave at first light. You will need strength, clarity, and focus. The hunters will not wait, and neither can you. Lyra sank to the floor, exhausted but alert. Her mind was racing with questions, plans, and possibilities. She understood that survival was no longer just about fleeing. It was about strategy, alliances, and discovering the hidden agendas around her. As she closed her eyes briefly, she felt the weight of the night pressing down. Danger was everywhere, and yet, within it, there was hope. The mysterious ally could be the key to survival, or the next twist of fate that might change everything. And for the first time in a long while, Lyra realized that trust, even fragile, cautious trust, might be the most powerful weapon she had. The city out. Side remained quiet, but shadows moved, secrets waited, and dawn would bring a test that could decide everything. The first light of dawn seeped into the city's streets, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the pavement. Lyra moved silently beside the human and the mysterious ally, her senses sharp, every muscle ready. The city, calm on the surface, hid dangers in every corner. The hunters were out there waiting, planning, watching. They had a route planned, a winding path through deserted alleys, over rooftops, and finally to a safe house far from the lab. The stranger had mapped it carefully, highlighting sensors, patrols, and potential dangers. Lyra's heart raced as they moved, each step measured, each breath controlled. Stay close, the human whispered. One mistake and they'll be on us. Lyra nodded, gripping the human's hand tightly. For the first time, she felt that her survival depended not only on her instincts but on trust, on allies she had barely known. They reached the edge of a rooftop overlooking a quiet street below. The ally pointed to a ladder leading down. We go down here. It's less monitored, but move quickly. As they descended, a sudden noise froze them all. A soft click, almost like a trigger snapping. Lyra's heart leapt into her throat. The human tensed, eyes scanning. They know we're here, they whispered. Before Lyra could react, the stranger stepped forward, smiling faintly. Relax, they said. I've got this. Lyra blinked. Something about the calmness in the stranger's voice felt off. The human's eyes narrowed, sensing what Lyra had not yet seen. A flash of movement, sudden, sharp, and alarms blared across the street below. Red lights flickered on nearby buildings. Lyra stumbled back, horrified. The ally had triggered the alarm. You betrayed us, the human shouted, grabbing the stranger's arm. The stranger's smile widened, almost cruel. I told you, trust only what you see, they said. You didn't think I would guide you for free, did you? Lyra felt a cold wave of shock was over her. Betrayal. After all they had risked, after all the hope she had felt, this person, this so-called ally, had set them up. The human pushed Lyra behind them, eyes blazing. Get ready, move fast. From the shadows, figures emerged, hunters, weapons drawn, precision in every step. Lyra's stomach twisted with fear. She had faced hunters before, but this felt different. They were organized, deadly, and now had an advantage. The human grabbed Lyra's hand. Run! They darted down the alley, narrowly avoiding gunfire. Bullets clanged against walls, sparks flying. Lyra's heart pounded as adrenaline surged. The streets blurred around her as she focused only on moving, surviving, trusting the human who had always protected her. The stranger's voice called out from the rooftop above, mocking and distant. "You really thought I wanted you safe? Pathetic!" Lyra clenched her fists, anger mixed with fear. Betrayal burned hotter than any danger the hunters had posed. They reached a side street where the humans spotted a narrow door leading into an abandoned building. "In here," they shouted, pulling Lyra inside. The door slammed shut behind them, muffling the sounds of pursuit, but not the tension that hung heavy in the air. Inside, the building was dark and dusty, old remnants of a forgotten past scattered across the floor. Lyra's breathing slowed slightly, but her body remained tense. The human knelt beside her. "We've been set up," they said quietly, "but we're not finished. We survive, and then we fight back." Lyra swallowed hard. Her mind raced. The ally had knowledge, information, but had chosen greed, or something worse, over life. Survival was no longer just about escaping. It was about being smarter, faster, and more cunning than anyone who tried to stop her. A soft noise from the doorway made them both tense. Shadows shifted, and Lyra realized that even here, danger was close. She had to trust her instincts and the human's guidance. Every second could be the difference between life and death. The human looked at her, eyes firm. "We can't go back. We can't trust anyone else. It's just us now. You ready?" Lyra nodded, feeling a strange mixture of fear, determination, and clarity. Betrayal had cut deep, but it had also awakened something inside her. She would not be a pawn. She would not be hunted blindly. She would survive, and she would act. The human grabbed a pair of small devices from a bag, tools to disable sensors, to create distractions, to fight back. Lyra felt her heart steady. Action would come next. Planning, precision, courage, all of it mattered. The sounds of the hunters grew fainter, but their presence was constant. Lyra understood something vital. Betrayal was a weapon as sharp as any blade. But if she could control it, if she could outthink it, it could also be turned against those who had wronged her. The human glanced at her. "This is the moment that defines us. We can survive, or we can fall. Are you with me?" Lyra took a deep breath, fists clenched, resolve hardening in her chest. "I'm with you," she said. The building's shadows seemed to pulse around them, filled with danger, betrayal, and the unknown. But in that darkness, Lyra felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope. Not blind hope, but the kind that comes from determination, from trust in those who have proven themselves, and from the courage to face what comes next. And as the first rays of sunlight touched the dusty windows, she knew one thing clearly. Betrayal had tested them, but it had also made them stronger. They would survive, and when the time came, they would strike back. The city lay beneath them, bathed in the soft glow of dawn. Lyra and the human crouched on the roof of an abandoned building, catching their breath after narrowly escaping the betrayal and the hunters. The night's chaos still clung to them, the alarms, the chase, the sting of deceit, but now a fragile sense of hope began to rise. Lyra. His legs trembled, but it was not only exhaustion, it was relief. Against all odds, they had survived, but she knew better than to relax. Danger still lingered. The hunters were organized, relentless, and the world was full of people who saw her kind as a threat. The human glanced at her, eyes softening. "You did well," they said quietly. "Your courage kept us alive tonight." Lyra looked at them, feeling a strange warmth. For the first time, she saw not just a protector, but a friend. A human who had risked everything to save her, who had guided her through fear and betrayal, who had reminded her that not all humans were cruel. Before Lyra could respond, a sound echoed from the street below. A low hum, unfamiliar but purposeful. They both froze. "Stay here," the human whispered, moving to the edge of the roof. Lyra's heart raced. Could it be more hunters? Or another trap? To her surprise, a soft light appeared from the alleyway below, and a figure stepped into view. Not the stranger who had betrayed them, but someone else. Someone calm, gentle, and deliberate. Lyra's breath caught. The figure's hand reached up, almost as if offering reassurance rather than threat. The human joined her side, eyes narrowing. "Who are they?" Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. The figure smiled faintly, a calm, steady presence. "I'm here to help," they said. "You're not alone." Lyra's chest tightened. She had felt kindness from humans before, yes, but this was different. This was deliberate, patient, and real. She realized in that instant that trust, when earned, could be a weapon more powerful than any blade or device. The human nodded slowly. "All right. We move carefully, together." Lyra followed, stepping lightly to the ladder that led down from the rooftop. The soft hum grew louder, and as they descended, she could see the figure in front of them, carrying supplies, tools, and a calm that steadied their nerves. For the first time, Lyra felt a sense of direction, a plan forming amidst the chaos. They reached a narrow street that twisted through the city like a hidden vein. The human led, Lyra in the middle, and the gentle figure behind. Together they moved silently, avoiding the open areas and sensors. Every step was deliberate, every shadow a potential threat, but also an opportunity. At a bend in the alley, the human stopped. "We need to get across to the old maintenance tunnels. They're safe, and from there we can finally get out of the city without being seen." Lyra nodded, though her mind was racing. Escape had always been survival, but now she realized it was more than that. It was about making choices, trusting wisely, and understanding that humans could be both danger and salvation. They approached the entrance to the tunnels, a heavy metal door partially hidden by debris. The gentle figure reached out, pushing it open silently. Lyra blinked as they stepped inside, leaving the open city streets behind. The air smelled of metal, dust, and damp earth. It was quiet, safe for now. The human turned to Lyra. "You see," they said softly, "not all humans are cruel. Some will risk everything for what's right. That's the world I want you to remember. That's the truth I want you to carry." Lyra's eyes filled with a mixture of relief, gratitude, and wonder. She had braced herself for death countless times, expecting pain, cruelty, and betrayal. But here, in this hidden tunnel, she felt something she had never known: trust, kindness, and hope. The gentle figure reached out, placing a hand lightly on her shoulder. Lyra flinched at first, but then felt the calm that had accompanied the touch in the lab. It was a reminder, a lesson, a promise. Humans were capable of heroism, of compassion, of bravery. For the first time, Lyra understood the meaning of the title she had lived through. She braced for death at human hands. But instead, she felt a gentle touch. The human smiled at her. "We're not done yet. The Hunters will regroup, but now we have an advantage. You've survived because you trusted and because you acted. That strength, that courage, it will carry you further than you imagine." Lyra's chest swelled with determination. She had learned to survive by hiding, by running, by fighting, but now she realized something more powerful. She could survive by believing in those rare sparks of humanity, by trusting wisely, and by acting with courage. The gentle figure led the way deeper into the tunnels, the human beside her, guiding, protecting, and encouraging. Lyra walked with them, every step a small triumph, every breath a reminder that hope existed even in a world filled with danger. And as they moved forward into the unknown, she felt a quiet strength growing inside her. A strength born not just from survival, but from the knowledge that humans could be more than hunters. They could be heroes, allies, and bearers of gentle, life-saving touches. Outside, the city waited, full of light, shadows, and possibilities. But inside Lyra, hope had returned. She would survive, she would fight, and she would remember the gentle touch that had changed everything. Because in a world ready to destroy her, she had discovered the truth. Even in darkness, kindness could light the way.